Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football, TITTH number 34. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I got Nick Davis and Emron Khan with me. Say what's up, guys.
What's up, guys?
What's up, everybody?
So, yeah, we got a good show on the books for today. Starting out with some recent news, we got Alex Smith of the Washington football team cleared to play football. Washington football team still sounds kind of weird to say. Instant reaction, guys. Well, what are we thinking about Alex Smith? Is he going to be on your fantasy team this year?
He is not going to be on my fantasy team, but I got some feelings about this, and it's nothing to do with Alex Smith. Okay?
Let it out, Nick.
Alex Smith is, I'm glad that he's cleared to play. I'm glad that he's recovered from it. But I am tired of Dan Snyder doing the cash grab just for any story. He's had nothing but bad news this offseason, and clearing Alex Smith to play. Has anyone actually looked at his legs? Did the doctors actually look at his legs? Well, let me give you just a little excerpt from the ESPN release. It said, before the start of training camp, Smith told ESPN Stephanie Bell that he had been cleared by his personal doctors for full activity. One of his doctors is also Washington head team physician Robin West. First mistake, okay? Those guys misdiagnosed Trent Williams on a tumor on his head and told him it was good for him to play, and he made the right decision for himself. Good job, Trent, for getting out of Washington. I commend you for going to the 49ers. Get out of Washington. Good job. But now the person that I'm worried about is Alex Smith. His leg literally looks like half of a leg. It's not good. And you see in the video where they're all celebrating. Great. I'm glad that they're celebrating him coming back. Shows a lot to his kids that you can come back from adversity. Nothing against Alex Smith. But the guy can't even show his leg without a sleeve in public because it's just terrible. I'm just
fragile.
It's fragile, man. And the thing is we're going to talk more about this, in the episode. But the NFC East is hell, man. The pass rushers there are nuts. You got DeMarcus Lawrence. You got a recent signing, Everson Griffin. They added Gerald McCoy. Then you got the Eagles. And they're talking about, Dwayne Haskins, lighting it up. Dude, we don't even have a left tackle because he went to the 49ers because you guys messed up on his medical. I'm just really worried. Justin told me he's going to get a jersey for Alex Smith. Great. I'm glad. I'm done supporting Dan Snyder, though, and I'm sick and tired of him trying to grab the storylines just to make his team look good. But we all know that the team is in shambles, and they're barely hanging on by a thread. Sorry to get on my soapbox, but I'm gonna step off. But Alex Smith, I love you, man. Good job doing what you did. I'm just not happy on how the organization is handling it. They should just, move on from this. I'm glad that you got cleared to play, though. Good job, Alex.
All about Alex Smith in 2020 if he gets on the field. In Superflex leagues, for the fuck of it, I might even draft this guy. A ton of respect for Alex Smith. I think Nick is onto something, and he's making this comeback in the worst place possible. Ron Rivera, not attached to Dwayne Haskins, did bring in Kyle Allen, but he just he didn't look great last year. I could see a situation where if Alex Smith stays clean in the pocket, isn't taking hits, and he's completing passes, he might be on the field this year for the Washington football team. It's a complete shit show. He has been cleared and activated for football activities. Whatever the leg looks like, his doctors say he's good to go. I don't know. I've seen him make some throws. I've seen him drop back in the pocket on the field. Does that actually equate to real time, real speed in the NFL? I'm not sure. I'm not certain. And more than likely, I'm really not drafting Alex Smith anywhere. Just got a ton of love for the guy. Just not a ton of love for the situation. I do think Nick's onto something with the PR, theme here.
It's sickening.
It really is. There's a lot of stuff going on in Washington that we really don't have the answers to. # release the article. Where's that Dan Snyder article that we were all waiting for?
And he's only suing for $10 million. He could literally close the doors of the Washington Post, and he's suing for $10 million. That is literally just telling everybody, oh, hey, I'm just going to send it in the court. So it takes a year and a half to do it, but it doesn't really matter to him. That's literally $10 to him. Okay, it's sick. One of the paragraphs in the ESPN article says Washington's main concern has been Smith's ability to protect himself. Then get an offensive line. You've had a revolving door at left guard on the blind side, and you're just going to let him get crushed and break his leg again. Again, nothing against Alex Smith, but Washington's not doing the right things to keep him healthy, and they're just going to throw him in the fire just to get some PR, whatever. So everybody's so happy that Washington's coming out with a new team next year, and everyone's going to forget about the article. I don't forget about the article, Dan Snyder. You've been a terrible owner since I've been born. The last time the Redskins have won a Super Bowl was when I was born, and I haven't seen a winning season in true fashion, seriously. Only Robert Griffin, but that was short-lived. You've done nothing but run this organization into the ground, and you stood your ground, and now you changed the team, and now you're getting pressure to sell. Sell the team, dude. Go to Nebraska.
Hashtag release the article. You want to close it down, Amron?
I don't know if I can follow that, but
sorry, passion.
No, it's all good, man. All good. First focus on Alex Smith. This was a gruesome, catastrophic. Any word you could think of. The fact that he's cleared and he's healthy, he's able to walk. I think just a quick pat on back to the guy. He's naturally, I think he's one of those players you look at. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
I think everybody roots for him. He keeps to himself.
It's a feel good story.
His career started off rocky in San Francisco, and he got together with Andy Reid. And he just became a great quarterback. He was doing a lot of good things for the Washington football team before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They were on pace to win that division.
Yeah, they were.
And to kind of just close it out, like Nick was mentioning, like whoever the quarterback is, keep in mind one of the underrated moves of the offseason is Trent Williams, is no longer on the Washington football team. When he was healthy and playing, one of the best tackles, maybe the best left tackle in football, he's not there. That is a massive gap that we're going to rely on, to be filled. So that concerns me there. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Like we've covered in previous episodes, this is one of the things where, we wish we had preseason. We wish you could see these guys play to get an assessment.
I'm not sure you would be able to make the assessment even with preseason.
We didn't even get to see the assessment last year.
But seeing Alex Smith in preseason would have been a fucking treat. I'm sorry. Whether you see him play 3 snaps this season or 300, it doesn't matter. Like, seeing that guy back on the field, that would have been a great moment, for all of football, really.
Yeah.
And, a significantly tarnished Washington football team, hashtag WTF.
Yeah.
Like, everything that's been going on with them this offseason, I do see them leveraging the situation right now. I do see them pumping out this feel-good story. Yeah, it is.
They've taken a lot of blows this offseason.
But they're really going to, I think, like Nick was saying, like really push this whole Alex Smith storyline for the next 4 weeks. Until we get a new team name, they release the article, they're actually playing football, I think they're going to be, Alex Smith. They're going to be hitting him hard until we enter the season.
It's just going to detract from Dwayne Haskins. Like, give the dude a chance. Like, Dwayne Haskins is coming in this year. Apparently, he's done a lot of mental work on the offseason. I still don't believe into all the hype that Washington does, because who was hyped up last year? Darius Geis, and he's no longer on the team. So,
Darius Geis had plenty of hype this offseason.
Exactly. Like, you can see, like, he would post all those workout videos, and he'd be sweating, looking good, and then you see him on the field, and he takes one hit, and his knee falls off. So, it's hype in Washington does not matter, to be completely honest, and they're just going to do anything to just try and put a positive light on the team, but it's so negative now. I used to work in D.C., like inner city D.C. I used to see more Eagles jerseys, more Ravens jerseys, more Cowboys jerseys. In D.C., man, you have lost the city. No one likes you. You did okay with Bruce Allen, getting rid of him. Thank you for doing that, but please sell the team now, because we need you to get out so that we can actually have a team in Washington. The only way I'm going to cheer for you is if you go D.C. Sentinels and Shane Falco is your quarterback week 1, okay? So I'm hopping off on the Washington soapbox.
I think Keanu Reeves is going to be filming Michael Vick.
That's an interesting character.
I think he's going to be filming John Wick 4 and 5. I don't know if he's going to be able to make any playoff appearances.
Shucks. I heard he wants the ball, though.
Falco always wants the ball. Yeah, really not sure what's going on there in DC. The Alex Smith piece, it is fluff. It is a feel-good story. And yeah, it sucks that we don't have preseason. It would have been nice to see him play. So moving along, we have more recent news. Everson Griffin signing with the Cowboys. Instant reaction, guys. Any instant thoughts? What do you think, Imran?
I think a good signing for the Cowboys. He's a respectable pass rusher. We saw him a lot in Minnesota in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Always a pain in the side.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's primarily going to be replacing the production they lost with Robert Quinn departing this offseason.
Yeah.
I think I do like the matchup of him getting paired up with DeMarcus Lawrence. He's not going to be getting a lot of double teams. Lawrence is going to be absorbing that.
Yeah.
They have a good defensive line as well. They're adding in, Gerald McQuinn and Terry Poe this offseason. They did lose. What I'm worried about is they two other additions they made. Trayvon Diggs in the draft at cornerback and Clinton Gibbs at safety. I'm okay with both of those. The one I'm worried about, though, is them losing Byron Jones in the offseason as one of the top corners in the NFL.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
I don't think Trayvon Diggs will be ready to fill that role quite yet. I do like him. I do think he'll develop into a solid corner for them. But I think this season, I think their secondary is going to be one of their bigger weaknesses. They were a solid defense last year, and I think they'll still be maybe top 10, lower part of the top 10 this year. But I think their weakness is definitely going to be that secondary.
Yeah, I agree.
What I see is the arms race in the NFL is going strictly towards defense. My first instant thought was, oh my gosh, whoever's at quarterback for Washington is going to get crushed. There are very few teams that actually have a great offensive line. Colts and Cowboys are the first two teams that honestly come to mind.
Yep.
But there are plenty of teams that have great defensive ends, and great defensive lines that just harass the quarterback. So now we're starting to see that there's more focus on putting pressure on the quarterback than actually protecting him. And it just means that the Cowboys are just going to be above Washington, which already was going to happen. But now with the signing, that's just more pressure that we're going to see, Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, or Dwayne Haskins running from. I mean, we saw, last year, Colt McCoy ran for his life and got swung around and broke his leg on someone other's leg. It's just incredible that, teams aren't really looking at, Mahomes. He just signed with a huge contract. But his offensive line is, I would say, one of the better offensive lines because they understand they got to protect their investment. Washington, not protecting investments, not even protecting the players that they're trying to pump up. I just see, the NFC East being hell for any quarterback. Any team that's going against the defensive lines of the NFC East, they're going to have a hard time. And I just see more sacks coming out of Dallas and more sacks coming out of everywhere just because everybody's having an arms race on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So DeMarcus Lawrence, Gerald McCoy, Dentari Poe, Everson Griffin. It's a really good start, right?
Yeah, very good start.
But behind those guys, you got Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee, man. But they have a really good group up front. It doesn't say, rival the best in the league like the Bears or maybe, the San Francisco 49ers, when we're talking like, solid up front groups here. But it's respectable and it's really good. Losing Jones, like you mentioned, is going to hurt their backfield. It's going to hurt their secondary. But up front, I think they do have some pieces that can cause some chaos and really force teams to go pass heavy on them. So maybe they'll be able to work up something to combat that. But I really like what they're working with up front. Really good signing, respectable, like I said. But doesn't necessarily blow my hair back. Doesn't make me afraid of the Dallas Cowboys offense. Just really kind of points to the direction that teams are going to be pass heavy against them. So. Yeah, good signing, respectable, but other than that, it's about it. Kind of just meh for me. All right, cool. So let's break into our topics for the week. We got Miles Sanders, trust or bust. Emron, trust or bust, what do you got?
This Miles Sanders is going to be another running back I trust this season. So Sanders was a rookie last year. Eagles took him in the second round. Was in a committee for most of last year, sharing it primarily with Jordan Howard. Yep. But he still had a really impressive year. With all that being said, he had over 800 yards rushing, and he had 50 catches. He played all 16 games, but was sharing the workload with the other running backs in the backfield. Fast forward to this year, Jordan Howard's gone. He's the primary guy. He's the lead horse, and he's got all the talent in the world. He had to follow Saquon Barkley in college, which is no small task. Saquon Barkley was basically a video game character with his leaping ability, his speed, his just anytime he touched the ball, that guy was electric. And Sanders had a very impressive career, and I think he's going to have a really big sophomore season for the Eagles. I would really like him in the second round. I'd be okay with him as my RB1 if I went, wide receiver or tight end with one of my first picks and got him on the wrap. Because I think he's going to be a central part of this offense. And this offense, I think, they did a much better job this offseason in getting some, weapons for Carson Wentz. Unfortunately, one of those weapons was Marquise Goodwin, the speedster out of the Niners, who's opting out for COVID. No one saw that coming. They still got speedster Jalen Reagor, who ran at his virtual pro day, not at the combine, a 4.22 and a 4.28. Those numbers are accurate. That's blazing. But at the combine, he ran a 4.47. So
That makes more sense.
you know,
Yeah.
so I think they have a lot of weapons on offense: Rager, Jackson, Jeffrey, Goddard, Ertz. So teams are going to have to worry about the Eagles spreading them out. So that's going to lead to fewer fronts for Sanders that are going to have 8 men in the box, and he's a true weapon out of the backfield. What do you guys think?
I trust him. I liked him. One of the things I saw on Twitter was people were talking before Darius Guice left was Darius Guice was going to be rated higher than Miles Sanders. I call BS on that because I like Miles Sanders way more than Darius Guice. Miles Sanders has shown that he can last an NFL season. Last year, Jordan Howard had about 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, I'm not going to say that every single one of his touches are going to go to Miles Sanders. Those touches will be distributed, but I do see at least 1,100 yards and 7 to 8 touchdowns just on the rushing end. And I also love that he's a receiver. He had 50 receptions last year for 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I love that. That's 10 yards a catch. That's pretty good.
For a running back.
Yeah. So he's starting like 5 yards behind the goal line or the line of scrimmage. So
he's not just check down.
Yeah,
he's getting downfield.
Yeah, exactly. So he's definitely able to get those yak yards. So I love him. I just see more production coming out of him with less mouths to feed. He's just become more of the featured back in that offense.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year, dealing with issues, combating Jordan Howard for touches. This year, he's got Boston Scott and Corey Clement behind him. I do see Corey Clement still getting his touches. Doug Peterson, as a coach, loves to feed all of his running backs. He is very much a running back by committee type of coach, but he doesn't have the pieces this year to do it. You have Miles Sanders there. Boston Scott, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Good amount of speed to him. Corey Clement, though, really good in between the tackles, downhill runner. So I do see him getting used, and I do see this team as a potential landing spot for free agent running backs. I could see a Devontae Freeman getting added in here, and that's just because of Peterson. It's really just based off of his history and his past of using a lot of running backs, and the way it looks right now, Miles Sanders should be in line for a very good workload. I have him at running back 11, but I believe moving Clyde Edwards-Helaire up to 9 is going to push him to 12. So running back 11 or 12, I'll still take this guy in the first round.
Still an RB1 in a 12-team league.
Yeah, absolutely. 12th pick, 13th, 14th pick in some deeper leagues. I'll absolutely pop him off in the first round if running backs have gone heavy. But I do agree with Emron that his value is there for you in the second round. I would much rather grab Eckler and then Sanders or something like that. Or a high-end receiver like Tyreek Hill and then a Sanders, or a Julio and a Sanders, whatever. Yeah. Would definitely like to get him at value in round 2. He had a pretty slow start to the season last year, only recorded 66 rushing attempts in his first 8 games, and then 113 to close down his second half. So you could definitely see his progression in this offense and his usage. And I think that, the storyline is there. Like they very well could hold off, not sign another running back, and just let this guy, feast in 2020. I am a little bit reluctant to give him that full-on trust commitment. Mm-hmm. I feel like a piece is going to get added. I do like what they've done with the receivers, but at the same time, this is a team with another good offensive line. I see him catching 60-plus balls this year. I see him potentially rushing for at least 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
66 attempts through 8 games. Like what is that? Like 8-something, 8.5?
Barely 8.
Yeah, so he was barely touching the ball. I see him being a guy that's getting 15 to 18 touches right out of the gate. I don't know if he's a true 20 touch a game bell cow type of guy though. I don't know.
20 touch? I think 20 touch.
Yeah, 20 touches with reception.
I don't know. Touches, I think I'm okay with.
I hope so, but there's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. So 20 touches may not be there for me. Towards the back end of last year, he was getting it. So if he doesn't get that, then it's definitely a bust. But I'm not sure. I'm not fully there to commit with him just yet.
I think, like you hinted at, though, at the last 8 games of 2019, his rushing attempts basically doubled. Right?
Yeah. And from 66 the first 8 to 113 the second.
Yeah, and that's because I think Peterson saw what he had. He knew who the best running back on the team was, and I think that momentum is going to carry on to this year.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. So moving into New York Giants, we have Slayton versus Shepard. We also have Golden Tate in the backfield, Evan Ingram there causing some issues for production. Where are you at on this, Nick?
So New York is a very interesting position for receivers because everybody's focusing on Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, Daniel Jones. But they got two receivers, Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, that honestly both can break out to wide receiver one potential. But Darius Slayton, he's a rookie. You've only seen 1 year. He only had basically 2-3 games where he just like popped off. He's definitely an electric player. Mm-hmm. Sterling Shepard, he's more the possession receiver where he's going to get those steady diet of about 6-7 targets a game. As long as he's in the game on the field, he's going to get those touches. So between the two, for my team this year, I definitely want to focus on Darius Slayton. I kind of like that lottery potential for a touchdown at any time, available 16 weeks. Shepard, he has injury history. I believe he missed 6 games last year due to 2 concussions. So it's scary. He could be, weakened in that sense or more injury prone due to those previous injuries. So I'm picking Darius Slayton. When I shared this article, one of the gentlemen that replied back to it said that he took Slayton in an 18th round out of a 20-round draft.
That's great.
And Shepard wasn't even drafted. So I was like, dude, both of them are basically free. I was like, you just pick one and just or you could take both at Shepard in the waivers and see which whatever works best for you. So these guys are basically free. They're really sleepers. They're kind of being discounted. So, the way I see it, Daniel Jones is going to ball out. Someone's got to catch the ball. One of those guys is going to catch the ball. Evan Ingram is supposed to be getting hurt. Shepard's supposed to be hurt, but that leaves Slayton there. Really, whoever stays healthy is going to be the winner of this. But I right now think it's going to be Slayton for sure.
Yeah, I'm really all over that take, Nick. As far as Sterling Shepard versus Slayton, to me, they're pretty even. I have, Slayton at wide receiver 38, Shepard at wide receiver 41. And in the last mock draft that we saw, Sterling Shepard went with the first pick in the 8th round. Slayton went at the last. I mean, realistically, that's the approach here, guys, is let one go, grab the next. Both of them have upside. Yeah. So Shepard's still the wide receiver 1 there. He's number 1 on the depth chart. Slayton had a great year last year, showed us a ton of potential, but there's plenty of weeks that he got put away. To me, both of them are going to be matchup oriented in fantasy. You're not plugging them in every single week. No. You're going to be plugging them in against good matchups, right?
Flex spots.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're both going to be flex receivers for you, like Justin's hinting at here. That they're not going to be every week starters, but you're going to get them at great value. Like, these are the players that help you get to your championship, where it shows the depth on your team. So between the two, I like Slayton a little bit more. I'm a fan of the boom potential.
Sure.
I think Shepard is going to be very consistent for you. Granted, he stays healthy. He's going to give you a lot of those weeks of 5 catches for 50 yards, 6 for 60, like very safe. On a PPR league, if you're like flex is giving you 12 points, you'll take that. But Slayton has that potential to break off a 60-yard touchdown, right, and go over 100 yards.
He had some very big games.
He had some very big games last year. He had 8 touchdowns. He kind of came out of nowhere. So between the two, I think Slayton's the one I'd go with just because of his speed and big playability. I think overall, the Giants want Evan Ingram, to be their number 1 receiver, number 1 threat in the passing game, because they invested a first-round pick in him a couple years ago. What worries me about him is that in the last 3 years, his catches, his yards, and his touchdowns have all gone down due to his durability issues, which is concerning. So I think Slayton is the guy I would look at here, but like Justin mentioned, it's really just my preference, honestly, of Slayton's big play potential versus Shepard just being a little bit more safe. But I think you could do fine with both, and I think where you can get them, I think it's a great value.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the 8 touchdowns for Slayton last year. That stat kind of needs an asterisk on it. 3 games, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And then only had 2 other games with a single touchdown. Yep. Those are booms.
Yep.
Those are exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Those are some real booms. I'm looking at these games, 5 catches, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bang. 10 catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bang.
Yep.
And then he had another one for 2 for 50 for 2 touchdowns. That's volatile, guys. That's volatile. And those 2 big games, those were great, but those were his 2 best games of the year. He didn't total over 100 yards in any other game, right? Sprinkled in those 2 touchdowns, 50 yards, had 82 receiving yards in week 3. There's just a lot of volatility there, and I want to see some more steadiness, even out of like a flex option, right? So Shepard, since coming into the league, he's gone, year 1, 16 games. Next year, 10 games. Next year, 16 games. Last year, only 10 games. If we're following some trends here, you should play a full 16 games. Yep. But, we're not sure if that's necessarily going to happen. There are more mouths to feed in that offense, so I'm not rushing to the well other than, Ingram and Barkley. I'm not rushing to grab any of these guys other than who I believe to be the top two options.
The one thing that definitely pushed Slayton towards Slayton for my pick was that I saw that Slayton had 15 yards per catch.
It's great.
It's great. And then Sterling Shepard had 10 yards per catch. So Sterling Shepard is used to move the change.
Yep.
Darius Slayton is used for that big play.
Those gains.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just those 9 rounds that you just let him run underneath the ball. He's going to be that guy. Sterling Shepard is used for getting that third down, or that first down on that third down play.
Nick, if you look at Sterling Shepard's career yards per catch, it's only 11.6. That's what he's done his entire career.
Yeah, he's just a possession. He's going to get that steady diet. He's a legitimate receiver. He just needs to stay on the field, put together 16 games. But especially with concussions, with having a concussion, you actually are more prone to have more concussions in the future, especially the next season. So he had one right after another last year. So this year, I'm just really concerned about that. So I'm just kind of staying away from that. So I'm going to definitely pick Slayton for my pick for the Giants receivers.
So I have to ask both of you then, because you're both you're in on Slayton, right? You're going to go out and grab him. Me, I'm gonna do more of the slow. Let one of these guys come to me if I have them, right? I'm not gonna run to the well to grab either of them, right?
Right.
So what round do you feel comfortable taking Slayton? If he's a guy that you're targeting, he's on your draft list. You've got him in the queue on the side. Sterling Shepard has not gone yet.
Assuming we're in a 12 team.
Yep.
I'm honestly looking for when I'm in the draft in those later rounds. If he hasn't been taken yet, I'm looking for him to fall into my lap. But what I'm saying is I'm definitely looking for him to be my lottery ticket at the end of the draft because you're just trying to fill your roster at that point. Just take someone with the lottery potential instead of just being like, oh, well, I can watch this guy every Sunday because he's part of my favorite team. No, pick someone that actually has some potential.
So I'm not sure I would say round 8 where we're seeing him drafted.
That's
right
a
now.
little rich.
That seems a little early for me if you're going to go after him. So the guys that were drafted around him, you're looking at John Brown, Manny Sanders, Deontay Johnson, and Christian Kirk just ahead of him. Behind him, you're looking at Mike Williams, a C.D. Lamb, an Anthony Miller, a Jerry Jeudy, names we've all talked up so far this preseason. Are you drafting him ahead of all of those guys? Anyone ahead of him?
He was such a reach in this draft. Like, even him and Shepard, I would take every single one of those receivers after him. I would take them before them.
Oh, okay.
Because, the thing is that you don't know which one is actually going to pan out. Mike Williams is the number 2, 1B on the Chargers. C.D. Lamb's going to be the slot receiver. Anthony Miller, he's kind of coming into his own. Jerry Jeudy was drafted for a reason in the first round. So, and then right after, Golden Tate is drafted, who's the third receiver. So it's just like, I feel like that was kind of reached, but I'm definitely not picking him there because it's just so many unknown variables.
Where are you grabbing him in, Ron?
I'm with Nick. I'm not running to grab him. If I can grab him, if I'm in your traditional 12-team PPR, 16 set to 18 run draft, say 11 or 12 if he's there, I'll take him. Before that, I think wide receiver is such a deep position. You really there's a lot of other people I would take. You got guys like Nico Hardman. He's going to be in a pass-heavy offense I'd rather take. Jeudy, that would be just a little high for me, and I like their quarterbacks a lot more than I like Daniel Jones.
Yeah, in general, I like other pieces where, he's going right there. Like, J.K. Dobbins went a few picks before him. I'd be a little bit more in on that. That's a guy that is, one injury away from being a top 10 running back. Christian Kirk, I'd be over him.
Cam
Akers, Manny Sanders, even John Brown. I like John Brown still as the number 2 there in Buffalo.
Yep.
He was solid for Allen last year. I can't imagine.
I think he's going to be better with Diggs around.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine that chemistry just evaporates, right?
I actually like Matt Breida too.
Yeah, exactly. So there's in round 7, 8, and 9, I think there's some better pieces there than any of these New York receivers who really. Who's going to boom every single week? There are so many options there. You have Slayton, you have Shepard, you have Tate, you have Ingram, and by the way, potentially the best running back in the league in Saquon Barkley, who at the end of the day, he's the number 1 passing target. He's the number 1 offensive threat, period.
Yeah.
So with Ingram and Barkley having more of a spotlight on him, again, another situation, 3 to 4 week booms where Slayton's going off, Shepard's going off, Tate's getting random touchdowns. All of these guys All four, Slayton, Shepard, Tate, and Ingram, they're all healthy coming into this year. That wasn't the case last year. Gun to my head, I'm going to take Slayton over Shepard. The injury history is there for me. Slayton, didn't really come off the field last year. Wasn't really hurt at all. Had these big games where he did boom. And maybe, those 2 to 3 games turn into 5 or 6 this year. And you can really plug him in on some positive spots. So I'm with Slayton over Shepard. Nick's the same.
And I was going to say, I think you guys will notice this if you guys have been following our pod. I love to flip. If he has those 2 good back-to-back games, package him with something else and get something else.
Get him out of here.
Sell him high.
Yep.
Sell him high.
Sell high, buy low.
Yep.
All right, cool. So breaking into the back end of our show here, we're just going to close it out with a nice 12-pick mock draft, the first round.
Mock draft season.
All right, so I'm going to take it away here. I'm just going to get her all pulled up. Mr. 101, it's CMC. I don't think we're in any disagreement there whatsoever.
Not at all.
Anything fun we want to add in about him? I mean, it's
he's just 2 positions in one. He's going to get 1,000 yards rushing, 100 receptions in a season. He's the top threat to do that every single year as long as he gives 16 games in a season. He seemingly has done that, so he's worth 101 to me at all times.
Yeah, we've talked about offensive coordinator Joe Brady quite a bunch on the show, talking about getting the ball out in open space. McCaffrey's only going to benefit from that. I see him taking more snaps at wide receiver this year. They're talking about bringing Curtis Samuel in for running back snaps and getting more versatility out of him. That's only going to push McCaffrey somewhere else on the field. He doesn't have anyone behind him as a threat for touches whatsoever. He's just Mr. 101. He can get 1,000 yards receiving. He can get 1,000 yards rushing. He can do it all from anywhere on the field. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to repeat too much what you guys already said, but he's actually going to benefit, I think, from Teddy Bridgewater stepping in as quarterback. Check down Teddy. That's getting more dump-off passes for him. And last year, he had a record-setting year with receptions. He had 116 catches. By the way, he broke his own record of 107 from the previous year. This guy's special. He's number one. I mean, you're getting top 10 receiver production and a top 3 running back in one player. It's a joke. This is number one. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, it's really simple. I can only really see Barkley or Elliott going ahead of him.
But it's not a loss for you if those 2 go 101. Christian McCaffrey falls into your lap.
If I could get him at 2 or 3, I'd do cartwheels.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I can do a cartwheel, but I try.
The only places that's going to happen is if you're drafting in the greater New York or Dallas area. Those are the only places that's going to happen. And even then, I think you're still going to see CMC go first overall.
Yeah.
The only thing that's preventing him from another great season is injury. And that's it.
Hasn't missed a game yet.
That's going to be find some wood, knock on it. The only thing with these top 5 guys is that they can all hit the same type of production. We'll kind of get into that.
Yep.
Our next guy, Saquon Barkley, Mr. 202. If you ask me, I don't see a ton of arguments for bringing Elliott, bringing Kamara, bringing Cook, or really anyone else up to this level. I mean, I've seen Mike Thomas go number 2 in some mock drafts. Obviously, that's silly. He doesn't have the volume of these other guys. Barkley did miss some time last year, had a high ankle sprain that made him miss about, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
Easily could have missed 7 or 8 weeks. So I love the durability. I love the strength there and just the sure willness to come back. Like, this was a team that was not competitive last year. So Barkley's for me at 202, or 102, sorry, very easily. You guys got any differences there?
He's the one that's going to have the offense on his back. I mean, Danny Jones is still coming into his own in New York, but Saquon Barkley has been there. They're going to depend on him to take the ball, run it, catch it, whatever. So yeah, I fully agree with 102. And if I get him any later than 102, I'd consider that a steal.
Yeah, no argument from me here. I also like him at this spot for the same reason we were just talking about with CMC. He had 91 catches in his rookie year. He had 52 last year in 13 games. He would add another solid reception season. He is a true dual threat, and like you guys mentioned, that offense is going to run through him. So he's going to get plenty of touches, and he's a game breaker. He can score on any play, so that always helps out in fantasy. So 202 for me.
Yeah, honestly, when I look at the Giants' offense in comparison to the Panthers' offense, it actually looks better, right? Just CMC just pops off the charts. Hasn't been hurt yet. If he does get hurt this year, I think that will draw the value for Barkley and CMC closer next year, and you may actually see Barkley go 101 next year. But when you look at the weapons in the passing game, and even just the comparison between Dan Jones and Teddy Bridgewater, I think it's kind of like a wash, right? But when you look at the passing weapons, I still see Slayton, Shepard, Tate, Ingram. a level ahead of just DJ Moore. Like, I like Curtis Samuel. I called him Baby Tyreek Hill last year. Yeah. He has a ton of speed, but it just didn't pan out, and they just didn't use him the way that all the fans, and especially fantasy owners, were dreaming of. And I think maybe he gets a little bit more usage this year, but CMC, like, when you're looking at him, he is the identity of that Panthers offense. Absolutely. And I think that Barkley has some more weapons there that, you know, can go into his touches a little bit. Yeah, they kind of dip in. So, yeah, CMC still gets the nod ahead of Barkley. Moving to our third and fourth picks, I'm looking at Zeke Elliott, still a guy that's going to rush the ball over 300 times this year. We touched on the defense not being as good this year potentially, so maybe he catches a few more balls. But I think that's really just the lack of consistency there, and the pass catching work is what's leaving him behind Barkley and CMC, right? We saw him come on the scene 2 years ago, actually, with 70-plus catches, 54 last year. So it kind of convolutes the situation. You kind of would have liked to see Zeke hit over 60 catches again last year, but him kind of dipping down into the 50s, CeeDee Lamb coming in, a lot of hype around him, the defense not being so good. Maybe they do pass a little bit more this year, but all of Zeke's talent still keeps him there at 3. You guys going any different direction here?
No, I mean, Zeke's definitely 3. You just got to kind of think running backs as actual bell cow featured running back, and there's the receiving. They can rush and receive. So Zeke is the top of those bell cow running backs. So we're talking like Zeke, Dalvin Cook. We got Josh Jacobs, and we got Nick Chubb.
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry's the tight end.
Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah, Derrick Henry.
Hey, position change happened?
Yeah, I was like,
where's this? What's all this?
Looking at the wrong screen. Sorry.
But yeah, but Zeke is at the top of those. But as Justin alluded to, it's inconsistent pass catching ability. His reception numbers definitely keeps down his value. So when we're this high, I definitely try and look for those guys that have 2 positions in one. So maybe Alvin Kamara goes higher than Zeke than me, just because of his pass catching ability.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
So I think Zeke also, maybe excluding Saquon, he may be the best pure running back. Like when we're just counting running back, like rushing ability, he might be I think he might be the best in the league when we're just talking about rushing ability.
Yeah,
the only year he didn't get 1,000 yards is when he was suspended for 6 games and he had 983 in 10 games. Yeah. The guy's a baller. I think his receptions are going to go down with the addition of CeeDee Lamb. I think we saw it last year because Michael Gallup had an awesome year. He had over 1,100 yards receiving. So I'm fine with Zeke at 3. I think he's going to continue to be your bell cow. I think you can safely assume, again, 12 to 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. His catches, I think you're probably going to be in the 40-ish range just because, CeeDee Lamb is awesome, and I think he's gonna eat into that. So I'm fine with him at 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and I see where you guys are coming from there as far as the regression in passing. I'm there as well. I think CeeDee Lamb does come in, does have a role on this team. But like you said, he's the best pure rusher in the league, and I can't disagree with that whatsoever. I think Derrick, not Henry, is probably right there with him as far as just like pure rushing ability, and tied with his power. What that can do for you.
Bus is coming at you.
Yeah, exactly, Terminator. So yeah, I'm all over Zeke at 3. I would definitely move him up to potentially 2 in standard. But Barkley, like you mentioned, he's right there as far as a pure rusher. So I think 3 is just a really steady spot. Even in standard, I'd probably take him like 2 behind Barkley. I think Barkley's still that guy for you there. Moving on to number 4, Nick was kind of alluding to Alvin Kamara. So you're saying you might take him at 4, or I'm sorry, at 3?
Yeah, I mean, he's recorded 81 receptions in his first 3 seasons. The one thing, I took him last year and I kind of suffered from it, but it did come out that he did suffer like a knee injury, so he was fighting that.
But he played through it.
He played through it.
He only missed 2 games, is that right?
Yeah, so he is durable, but you could tell that his numbers were down because his touchdowns were down. So, hopefully he's coming back, healthy, but he's a threat to receive the ball and also rush the ball. I remember watching him at Tennessee, and he transferred from, I forgot where he transferred from, but yeah, he transferred from there, and he just took over Tennessee. Like, he was just the new kid on the block, and took over the spot of the incumbent that was there. So I love Alvin Kamara since he's come in. I hope he just comes back healthy and gives us a full season and gets more than 6 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I think these top 4 are really simple in any order that they go in. Really, I mean, if someone takes Kamara first because living down in New Orleans, great, cool, and you get CMC second or Barkley third, whatever. Like, that's great. Any four of these guys are interchangeable, I think, in this spot here. Really love Kamara. The 81 catches each of his first 3 seasons is amazing. I'm all about it. I think the landmine that people need to avoid here is what I'm seeing a lot of still is Mike Thomas getting drafted ahead of Alvin Kamara, going at 3rd, going at 4 because you think something, or you're like, I don't know what it is. Maybe just people are reading too many magazines, or I don't know.
I think it's just people trying to overthink stuff. Like running backs are so hard to find. That are true bell cows that are getting their work. Wide receiver is a much deeper position, and like I said, the guy, like you guys alluded to, 81 catches every year. He's money. That's a solid receiver.
How do they even do that?
I have no idea.
How do you get that down to the number every year?
To think about it, like Mike Thomas would probably have to have like 2,000 yards, 2,000 receiving, or 2,000 receptions, 2,000 yards to actually have the same kind of fantasy production as a running back. Because
this type of running back,
this type of running back. So like that's why like it doesn't make sense to us that Michael Thomas is being taken higher than Alvin Kamara because Mike Thomas is just a receiver, but Alvin Kamara is a running back and a receiver.
Yeah.
So
and he just has more touches than Thomas. Period. Like 170 rush attempts and over 100 targets.
And I think the big thing is the reason I think people are worried about Kamara is his touchdown production dips.
That's all it is.
He had 13 total his first year, 18 total his second year, only 6 last year. His rushing numbers were just in line. He still averaged 4.7 a carry. Had the 81 catches. He didn't have enough big plays for the receiving game. He missed a couple of games. I'm not really worried about him. He's going to be fine. Don't overthink it. If you're in my league and you let him fall to me at 5, thank you.
Shame on you. Yeah. Shame on anyone that lets Alvin Kamara fall to 5. Unless it's like super flex, there's no reason for it.
Not at all.
He definitely has to go in the top 4. We'll just move on. I have Dalvin Cook right behind him, and Dalvin Cook is only in this conversation at 5 because of his production last year. If you looked at every year before that, I mean, you're not taking him in the first round based off of his injuries, right? Like, last year was amazing for him. He still wound up missing 2 games at the end of the year. And still finished with over 1,300 total yards.
Yep.
1,600 total yards.
Yeah, 1,600, 1,300 on the ground, I believe.
11 on the ground.
11 on the ground. Holy shit, that's great pass catching. That's what I'm talking about. Like, he has all the value there. He just has to be on the field. And for me, like, I keep him, in this top 5 situation only because of last year. He looked amazing. He showed us everything that we dreamed he could have been. Stefanski is gone. But they're bringing in Kubiak, who should implement a very similar approach.
Solid offensive mind.
Yeah, very, very run heavy, very run heavy. So I like the position that he's in. He just needs to stay healthy, and they just need to fucking pay the man. Give the man his contract.
The difference between Dalvin Cook and Mark Ingram is that they're both run heavy offenses, but Dalvin Cook is the only one getting the ball in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Baltimore is going to have, Jackson, Dobbins, Ingram, sharing the ball, and whoever else is behind them. But Dalvin Cook, he got the ball so much in the first couple games. I know this because he was on my fantasy team just racking up points. He got so many touches that the wide receivers called out Kirk Cousins and was like, you need to give me the ball. It's because they are going to continually feed Dalvin Cook until he literally goes into the ground because isn't he in a contract year this year?
Well, he needs a new contract.
He needs a new contract.
He's the final year of his contract.
And he's saying that he's not going to play under this current contract. So they are going to pay him sometime in the next 3 weeks. I can guarantee it. There's no way that they're going to let this guy go, and there's no way they're going to let him sit out games.
So my thing with the Minnesota Vikings, too, is kind of related to Cook and also big picture. They went through a sort of a mini rebuild this offseason. They shipped out Stephon Diggs, lost a lot of key players on defense.
Especially defense.
Yeah, we talked about Everson, Griffin, and some other players, Xavier Rhodes. So I don't know if they're going to pay him or not, or how they're going to handle this, because I know they're in a cap situation because they paid Kirk Cousins, again, all that money. So for me personally, if I'm drafting, like you mentioned, hopefully you guys are drafting at the end of the month before the season starts.
Oh, yeah,
if Cook's contract situation isn't handled, honestly, I'm not touching him. I just don't want to deal with that for my first round pick. In most seasons, sitting out, training camp, missing mini camp and all that stuff would be a bigger deal. But during COVID right now, where that's not even happening, it's not as big of a deal. But if I don't have a concrete answer if he's playing or not, I'm not touching him in the first 7 rounds.
Yeah,
somebody else can get lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
I'm definitely right there with you if we're drafting today.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm drafting today, Dalvin Cook is probably not my 5th pick, and that's because he isn't signed. So looking at the cap situation for the Vikings, he still plays this year under his current contract. Next year they have about $29 million in space, so they should be fine to get him paid. To me, the issue is the number talk, right? I deserve this or whatever. I deserve X. The Vikings say it's Y, right? You've been hurt the first 2 years, but last year you boomed for us. So you need to respect the fact that you weren't providing us RB1 numbers years 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
And I think that's fair. I do think that's fair. You can't just completely pay him on 1 year. You came in on a rookie contract, was drafted in the first round. That's respectable money, coming in as a first round pick. So I do think they sign him. I do think they get things taken care of. I would pull maybe Joe Mixon into this spot, maybe. Excuse me, if I'm drafting tomorrow. But come Labor Day weekend, he's going to have the money in his bank account, well, whatever. He's going to have the contract signed. Things are going to be looking ready to roll, and I'm taking him at 5. You want to close it down with Cook at 5, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, he's less of a gamble than like people taking Antonio Brown last year. Like for me, because I know that he's going to get the ball in Minnesota. There's no one behind him. Like the Minnesota Vikings really have no leverage to like let him hold out. Like the Steelers let Bell hold out because they had James Conner. And,
they had something there.
They had something there, but in Minnesota, there's nothing behind him. So they definitely want to make this year count because I think that this is either the second to last year or the last year of Kirk Cousins' new deal, and they need to make something happen in that time frame. So
and they won't do it with Alexander Madison behind Kirk Cousins. No, he's solid. Like he's a respectable handcuff. If you're drafting in fantasy and you do draft Dalvin Cook, you need to draft Alexander Madison.
Yeah, you just have to.
Absolutely. But at the same time, Madison's not coming onto the field to steal touches. Like that's not going to be the case.
He's not a third down back for him.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Dalvin Cook is an every down back. And once he does get paid, I'm telling you guys, he's going to get paid. The Vikings are not the same team without him.
Nope.
Just look at last year. With Dalvin Cook in your lineup, they're right there with the Bears and Packers to win this division. If he's not there, they are not. I'm telling you, if they don't have Dalvin Cook on the field, week 1, they're punting the season.
Kirk Cousins thrives on the play action game.
Yeah.
He cannot win without it. That's why they ran the ball so much last year, and that's why they had a better year. If you put the game on his shoulders, I think all 3 of us know how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Not going to get anything done. So definitely drafting Dalvin Cook on draft day, Labor Day weekend, 5th overall. I know he's going to get the contract before then. Give it another couple weeks of training camp, if not even then. All right, so moving to halfway through the first, we're looking at pick 6. I got Michael Thomas. This is where I kind of feel comfortable, easing off the gas on the running back pedal. I think that Michael Thomas ahead of Joe Mixon is fair, who's going to be our next pick here. But, I'm really more doing this for just to ease people's concerns. Like, yes, you can take a wide receiver in the first round. You don't have to take running backs all the way from 1 through 8, 1 through 9. Thomas does have real boom value, but we did see Manny Sanders come in this year, to kind of help him out in the rest of the offense. Where do you guys see Thomas going? Are you taking him in 6, higher, lower? Where are you at?
6 is cool with me. It's just really hard to replicate the 149 catches on 185 targets with Emmanuel Sanders coming in. So, if anything, it's going to be like a minor regression, but it's not a regression on his talent. It's just a regression on numbers just because another receiver is there. So 6 is perfectly okay with me. I kind of like him more than like the pure running backs like Derrick Henry, that kind of stuff. So this is a pure receiver. So just realize that you're getting one type of production from him, but it's going to be top end production compared to other receivers that will be taken right behind him.
Yeah, I'm with Nick. I feel comfortable taking him at 6. I think he's going to be more productive and score more points than the remaining running backs, except for one, which I'll mention later. Every year since he's been in the NFL for the last 4 years, his catches and yards have gone up every single year. And even now he finally has a weapon. So the last couple of years he's been battling the opposing defenses, doubling him, keying in on him because there is no other reliable, consistent threat. They have that now. He's not going to get 149 catches again. That's record-breaking. That's impossible to receive. But I think he's still going to be in that 110 to 120 range again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of showing the rest of the league, like, he's the best wide receiver, right? Like, I still have him ahead of Julio, ahead of Devontae Adams. I think he's still in a very good situation. Devontae Adams is the only receiver in Green Bay, but they don't throw the ball enough, right? Julio's battling Calvin Ridley. I was about to say Ripley again. Came out this week with
I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to give him a run for his money this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's names up there. There's names up there, but they're all systems that they're in. Mike Thomas is just concentrated so much, and I get it. He's been the guy because he's needed to be, but at the same time, he's quarterback proof. If Breeze goes down, you have a guy in Jameis Winston that will I think still give him those types of targets.
Oh yeah, he'll literally throw it to anybody.
Even with those other guys in the lineup, Sanders, Kamara, Cook, Traquan Smith is still there. He's kind of a meh, whatever. But I think if Winston somehow gets onto the field, I think that even with all these guys there, Thomas can hit these numbers again. I really think he can.
His yards per reception will just go up because Drew Brees, he's still I would say he's still an elite quarterback. It's just he's a little bit older, but Jameis Winston will just air the ball out and just chuck it up for Mike Thomas to go get the ball. And Mike Thomas is one of the bigger receivers in the NFL, so I have no problem with Mike Thomas even if Drew Brees goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we're talking pick 6 here. Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Eckler, any of these other wide receivers. Are you going to take them at 6?
No, if I'm at 6, I'm taking Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless for some reason one of those running backs fell to me. But at 6, I think Mike Thomas is going to score the most of the remaining players.
Okay. All right. So we're agreeing he's a good grab at 6. Mm-hmm. All right. So moving on, we got Joe Mixon at 7. I really like Joe Mixon a lot. Loved him a lot last year. A guy that you can always rely on to grab at least 20 touches a game. You got the kid, Joe Burrow, coming in. A lot more positivity, a little bit more hype this year. Jonah Williams coming back, first-round pick last year for the Bengals. Beefing up that offensive line. I don't think the line's great, but I think they're going to be a little bit better than last year, only providing a little bit more upside for Joe Mixon. The dude just needs catches. Zach Taylor, feed the man.
Yeah.
Are you guys taking Joe Mixon any earlier than pick 7?
No. I mean, Cincinnati is kind of scary, but Joe Mixon has shown that he can produce even if there's no quarterback there. I mean, last year where it's Andy Dalton, Ryan Finley, he's still going to get his production as a running back. It's just he's such a weapon in the receiving game that he needs to be used more to take pressure off of your outside receivers. You got Joe Burrow coming in. He's used to having a receiving running back like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who he had last year and went to a championship with. Use Joe Mixon in the same way. Zach Taylor, please use your weapons that you all have instead of just focusing on getting Joe Burrow to AJ Green or whatever. Give everybody the ball. There's enough passing attempts in the NFL these days that you can get everybody the ball and get their touches. Use them. Okay, so Joe Mixon, I think that he's definitely worth the 7th pick for sure.
Yep, I agree. He's going to be in an offense. I think it's going to feature him a little better. Quarterback play, I think, is going to be a lot better for him this year. So I think he's going to be running a lot more and a lot easier. And the addition of T. Higgins, I think, to that offense is going to help him out too. Mm-hmm. As great as AJ Green was, he's just been so hurt. He missed all of last year. So I think you have some valuable threats on that offense that can help out in the passing game. And I think in turn that'll help Burrow out and getting more checked down passes and more attempts towards Joe Mixon.
Yeah, this isn't an offensive line or whatever offense in general. You can load the box on, right? Nope. You have T. Higgins coming in. You have Tyler Boyd. You have AJ Green. You have John Ross, who is coming. Yeah, I thought he's activated off the COVID list.
He went home due to his son contracting COVID, so they don't know what's going on with him.
But I thought that he was activated off that list.
He was.
Okay. So they're all going to be there. That's my point. It's a lot of speed.
Yeah,
it's a ton of speed to blow off the top. So you're going to open up space for Mixon, and you can do more things with him at receiver. You just have to give him the ball, Taylor. You just don't get it. Do you? I don't understand. I don't understand why they haven't fed him the ball in these previous 2 years. Hopefully this is the year that they do it. If they did, if they gave him the ball 50, 60 times passing, he'd be in that top 5.
Yeah.
He would be there at 5 over Dalvin Cook. They just haven't done it. I hope this is the year that they do. We're all in love with them. Take him at pick 7 very easily. Maybe a spot sooner. I don't know. I'm kind of fighting the Mike Thomas, Joe Mixon. I'm kind of.
So one thing I like to do when I'm drafting players in fantasy and doing either or, I look at players that are in a contract year. Mm-hmm. Joe Mixon's in a contract year.
Ooh.
So I think I
expect to earn that money next year.
Thomas did get paid already.
I did the same gamble last year with a lot of leagues and getting Amari Cooper. He was in a contract year. It worked out for me.
He is respectable. I had Amari Cooper as well.
Yeah, and I think Mixon's that's gonna help drive him.
All right, great. So we're all locked in at him at 7, maybe a pick sooner if you're feeling a little bit more aggressive or not feeling receivers in the first round. I know a lot of people that do that. So what if Mike Thomas is there? Running backs, they fall off the shelf. They go really quick. So sometimes you just need to go out and get your guy, just to solidify that spot on your roster. I know I'm going to catch slack for this next one, but number 8, I got Tyreek Hill. I'm all in love with Tyreek Hill. We're talking about the wide receiver 1 in the league from 2 years ago. Missed, was it 6 games or 4 games last year?
I think it was 4.
Yeah, missed 4 games last year. Went down early in week 1 up against the Jaguars. That wasn't great. Took a good pop from Jalen Ramsey. Won't be doing that week 1 this year. I'm always in love with Tyreek Hill. Has that speed ability to be a rusher, a receiver, can hit a home run. Yeah, can hit a home run anywhere on the field. And I have him ahead of guys like Julio, DeAndre Hopkins, who you mentioned, Devontae Adams, because to me, those guys are still stacking on, a couple more years in age. They're losing a little bit of speed, and Hill is just getting faster and stronger. This is a guy that can boom you 80 to 90-yard touchdowns on any given play.
Yep.
And I just don't see, Julio, Hopkins, Adams having that finisher speed. When you catch a ball, 40 yards off the line of scrimmage, you need to finish the play, right? Like downfield, Julio, all the time, we see him getting tackled at the 8, the 5. Same thing for Hopkins and Adams, I see Hill as that guy that can still finish those drives for you. Catch the ball down the field and not just, make a play and go out of bounds, but take it the rest of the way. And that's a big deal in fantasy because you'll see your guy like a Julio or an Adams get that downfield catch and he's like, he's just outside the red zone or whatever. He's just outside the end zone. He's at the 5 and now they're finishing off with, the Gurleys, the Drakes, the Aaron Joneses, and you're just sitting there in complete frustration. Where is my extra 6 points?
Yeah, and for Tyreek Hill, the other thing is, when you have a guy like him with all that speed, you think, all right, you put 2 people on him, safety over the top. Well, that Chiefs offense is loaded. You still have Sammy Watkins there. Mecole Hardman is damn close to the same amount of speed as Tyreek Hill.
2 words. Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, my guy, and then Ricky Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That offense is stacked, and it's just... It's basically pick your poison for opposing defenses. Sadly, who do you want to beat you? You can't double anyone. It's very difficult to match up. So I'm okay with this pick. And Tyreek Hill's one of those guys. The example we were talking about off camera is like, let's say Justin and Nick are playing. Nick's up by 40 points, and Justin has Tyreek Hill left on Monday night. Mm-hmm. Nick's not going to sleep.
You're not safe.
It's just anytime.
Mm-hmm. I'm not okay with Tyreek Hill being 8. I did take Tyreek Hill last year in the first round, and those 4 weeks that he missed really hurt me and really put me behind.
Same thing happened here.
He's one of the smaller receivers in the NFL. I would not take him above DeAndre Hopkins because I think we're going to go more into this, but I do think that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a focal point in the Arizona offense. Cliff Kingsbury, I think the way he runs the offense is telling Kyler Murray to throw to a certain point of the field and just let the receiver get the ball. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best in the NFL at doing that. So, and then he's also a great jump ball receiver. So Kyler Murray doesn't have to see over the line. Hopkins is just going to get the play calls that he needs. So I'm more about the steady diet than the lottery ticket because Tyreek Hill, he is a lottery ticket, but he hurt me last year. I guess I just had last year's remorse, but I'm just going to say, I'm going to say, if I get him in the second round, I'll be happy. But I'm taking DeAndre Hopkins before Tyreek Hill.
I think you can get Tyreek Hill in the second round. I think you can this year. It's just that for me, if I'm gonna take receivers in the first round, it's gonna be Thomas or Hill that early. That's for sure. I mean, taking receiver picks 11 and 12 is pretty easy because the best ones are typically there, right? Like they're always there. But if I have to go ahead of that before those guys, I'm definitely taking me a Hill or a Thomas. Patrick Mahomes, being his quarterback, that's got a lot to do with it, guys. Hill is the best receiver or not the best receiver, but he's the receiver in this group with the best quarterback, period. Best passing quarterback. Mm-hmm. If Hill was with Lamar Jackson, I'd still take him at this spot. It's the same exact thing. All the opportunity is there for him. You do have Travis Kelce there, who you've mentioned before off camera can be essentially a number 1 wide receiver for you. I agree with that. It's just that Hill is used in so many different ways. Direct snaps, pitches to the outside. They can just use him in so many different ways that I see his value just being so much higher than a Julio, a Hopkins, or an Adams, who aren't going to rush the ball, who maybe not be able to finish drives down the field. They're red zone threats, right? You're talking about Hopkins being able to go up and get it. That's a big red zone threat for me. And as you do get closer to the red zone, Hill does lose some value, right? Kelsey becomes the bigger target, the better option.
And so,
even Sammy Watkins.
And Arizona doesn't even have a tight end.
Yeah.
Can you even name them? Do you know who it is?
No.
Max Williams. He was in Baltimore. He did absolutely nothing, and Mark Andrews came and took the job. So
yeah, absolutely.
DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the tight end in the four wide offense of Arizona.
And so the other thing I was going to mention about Tyreek Hill is even with Travis Kelce there 2 years ago when they had Patrick Mahomes for the full season, Kelce had 100 catches, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill still had 87 catches, 1,400 yards, double the difference.
He wouldn't necessarily need.
He doesn't need
the volume.
Yeah, the volume. I think it's just anybody. There's enough for everybody to eat there. Where I don't think the other one being there hurts the other one. I think it helps them actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into these other receivers here in a bit at the back end of this round. Tyreek Hill going at 8. That's rich. I ain't afraid to hide from it. But I think it's a risk that you can afford to take this year.
Couldn't afford it last year.
Couldn't afford it last year. Hey, he got hurt. It happened to me too. I took Hill in the first round at pick 11 or pick 12. He got hurt in week 1. It happens. It can happen to anybody, guys. Yeah. It's happened to Joe Mixon before. It's happened to Dalvin Cook. Yeah. It's definitely happened to Dalvin Cook. So yeah, I mean, you have to dodge landmines, in all of fantasy, right? This is the NFL. People are going to get hurt. It's a violent game. Hashtag bring back the violence.
We also have COVID this year. We could have we could have star players be taken out for 4 weeks due to COVID. So that's another thing that we got. I mean, you can't really think about. No one can actually predict the future, but it's just something you got to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do see Hill being a little bit more of a risky pick in the first round. But if all of those running backs have gone and Thomas is gone, and I'm looking at pure talent alone, I'm going Tyreek Hill.
We play to win the game.
All right, next up we got another running back, Derrick Henry at number 9. Mr. Terminator. Dude's a beast. Dude, I mean, you can't deny it. Vrabel's talking about unleashing him a lot earlier this year. It's always been a theme of Henry's. First half of the season is really slow. Then he works into a strong second half. I took him last year as the last running back selected, the first a team to grab their first running back. I was the last team to grab mine, and it was Derrick Henry. And I didn't win that league, because he did have a very slow start. But at the same time, the back end of the year, I was crushing people, kicking people out of their playoffs and ruining some dreams because he was just beasting it. At 9, I think it's pretty fair. I don't know if I could take him earlier than this in a PPR draft. What do you guys think?
I kind of want to tie this into the next one that we have, Austin Eckler. These two are basically Derrick Henry's the pure running back. Austin Eckler is honestly the scat back receiver. I would take Eckler in front of Henry just because there is probably more of a likely chance that Derrick Henry will get hurt in the season than Austin Eckler. It's scientifically proven that a receiving touch is less physically punishing than a rushing touch. True. So, Eckler, he's not going to get as many rushing attempts due to Melvin Gordon being there. But, just being a pure running back and also the first round being a slow start, that's where you actually win your leagues. I've noticed that if I lose the first 4 weeks, I'm basically out and I'm just taking people out of playoffs in the end of the fantasy season, which is not the position I want to be in. I want those wins right now. I want those points right now, and I need them as soon as I can get them. I feel like Eckler was going to give them to me all 16 games, and there is no valleys and peaks of his production or a ramp up. It's just going to be a consistent diet of third down touches for him.
So I would not take Derrick Henry in the first round. We talk about running backs that are the lead horse or the sole guy. So Henry is not in any type of committee or anything like that. He's obviously the lead guy. He's a great running back. But that's it. He's not catching the ball at all. For him to be productive for you, he has to get 20 to 25 carries, not touches, carries. His receptions in the NFL, his last, his first 4 years, 13, 11, 15, and 18. 57 total in 4 years. He's not going to be catching the ball. He's not going to be helping you out of the backfield. So he's got to get, a lot of carries, and those are very cooling and very, bruising for running backs. So if he's not getting those attempts, he's not going to be that productive for you. In this spot, if I'm picking, I pick 9. If this was a live draft going right now and the board fell this way, and I had pick 9, this is actually where I would take Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh gosh, no.
Yep.
I don't hate that.
That's rich.
I don't hate that. But at the same time, you're looking at Derrick Henry, who very well will get those touches. I mean, and we're talking about him getting hurt potentially. He's only missed 2 games in the first 4 years of his season, so his strength and durability has shown there.
But there's a lot of mileage on him right now, especially in high school and college. Like with running backs, the mileage that is being used on them before they even get to the NFL is so high. Derrick Henry is just a beast. I mean, if you look at just the comparison between him and Mark Ingram looks like a high school kid with a beard. Yeah. But Derrick Henry, he's had so much usage that I feel like he's just going to break down one day because he's just being used into the ground. Like, they're going to use him up as much as they can before they actually have to. Did they pay him yet?
He got paid.
Oh, he got paid. Well, good for him. Good, I'm glad.
So,
and he took a team friendly contract.
Yeah, I don't think he had a choice.
I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah, I think so. The thing with running backs, unfortunately, is that position is very devalued, and it's hard for them to get paid. I'm happy he got paid as well. My concern with Henry, though, is it comes back to quarterback. If other teams are going to stack the box and say, we're not letting Henry beat us, I think opposing defenses have seen what he did, the destruction that he caused, and say, okay, 8 in the box. Okay, Ryan Tannehill, you also got paid this offseason. Can you beat us? And the problem is, I don't know if Tannehill can, and having to focus on Tannehill, since the fact we just talked about Henry doesn't do anything in the passing game, it really limits him. With the other running backs that are great in the league, they can still kill you in other ways, right? They get on the wheel routes. They can split out wide like Kamara does all the time, like CMC does all the time. He doesn't do that. So that's what concerns me about taking the first round is I have to hope every week he gets those 20, 25 carries and that he's able to produce. And I know he has last year, but I just don't feel comfortable taking him.
You want to go, Justin? Okay. So, no one's going to be watching Tannehill. Like, no one's going to be no defensive coordinators in their right mind is going to be like, all right, we need to watch Tannehill for Sundays because he's not someone that's going to beat you. He's going to be someone that's not going to make mistakes against you. So he's basically fallen into that game manager role. He got paid, and they're going to be basically stacking the box against Derrick Henry because the offense is so focused on Derrick Henry. You got AJ Brown and Corey Davis on the outside, but they're still trying to come into their own. Like, I wouldn't consider them elite receivers yet. No. AJ Brown is more on his way than Corey Davis, but Derrick Henry is the person on that team that the offense is going to run through, I believe.
Okay, so I can't stress that I disagree with you guys anymore. So last year, Derrick Henry led the league in numbers against 8 in the box. 188 times, defenders lowered the box against him. The next running back, Dalvin Cook at 147, Sony Michel behind him at 134, and Derrick Henry still went off for 1,500 yards. There was only 4 games last year that he didn't score a touchdown. He scored 3 touchdowns in his in the very last week. That's championship week. You got people paid. Now, we're all about not paying for last year's production. But so far, everything you guys have brought up, loading the box, maybe he gets hurt. I mean, anyone can get hurt in the first round. We just got done, talking about Joe Mixon, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill got hurt. First 4 weeks he was out. Didn't help you, right? Anyone get hurt. But if he's on the field, we've already seen there's nothing that defenders can do to stop him. What I would do, I'm playing a little bit of Madden, playing a little defensive coordinator here, I would push him to one side of the field. That's it. I would push him to the side of the field that I think that we can defend best. That's it. Overload one side and try to send him to another.
Do you think he's still going to get 18 touchdowns or close to that?
I think he can easily hit 14 or 15.
He's definitely going to be the goal line guy.
I mean, no one's taking away goal line touches from him.
Yeah.
He's not getting pulled out of the red zone. Deion Lewis was there last year. He's gone. Darrington Evans is the only guy that's there behind him that's getting any sort of talk, and he was just drafted this year. I can't imagine that he's going to be stealing the ball. I mean, everyone needs a breather every now and again. I mean, sometimes when you run for 99 yards, I know that was a couple of years ago, but still, this guy is a beast. He's going to be 26 this season, prime of his life. Not just in football, but prime of his life. He's only missed 2 games since he's come into the league. So yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against him other than PPR. Yeah, I could see you taking an Eckler ahead of him if you're into that, but I don't let him slip much farther than that. Yeah. If he gets unleashed the way that I'm anticipating, like Vrabel's talking, everybody's saying, he's going to be there for you. I mean, Josh Jacobs doesn't catch the ball either. I mean, I know he's talking about catching him more, but he's a running back that I could potentially take in the first round, and he's not going to catch the ball a lot. For all I know, Henry could catch the ball more this year. I don't know. But I'm definitely going to take him in the first round if I can get him. end of the first would be ideal. But guys, I'm seeing him going at 5 in PPR.
Way high.
Yeah.
Way high. And
Take him that high. I'm just gonna. I mean, I like it.
I don't mind if someone does it. I love it.
I think honestly, where I would feel comfortable taking him is in the second round because, like I said, I think he's going to be productive. I don't see 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns again. I see closer to maybe 1,200 yards rushing, 1,300 yards rushing, maybe 12 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns, which isn't. That's solid year.
That's the first round, if you ask me.
But I mean, that's pretty much all his production, though. Receiving game, it's kind of like when we talk about receivers. Yeah.
He had 321 touches last year. I don't care what you want to call it. 320 touches, 320 touches. 5 yards on average for rushing. Whatever he is, 5'1".
Yeah,
5'1" last year, 4.8 for his career. So these numbers are great. Obviously, we all want to see him catch the ball more. It's a thing. And in PPR, I get it. I could see Eckler going right there ahead of him. We're splitting hairs. Let's just jump into Eckler. Awesome player. Had 1,500 yards last year, even with Melvin Gordon coming back and eating into his workload. I see him having, the keys to the city. The leash is off the dog. He's ready to run around the yard. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, so Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert, whoever the quarterback is, they're going to depend on him heavily, just like a tight end. Hunter Henry's there. He's going to get some touches for sure. The receivers, Williams and Allen, they're going to get their touches too. But you got to remember, there are a lot of plays where quarterbacks do a lot of checkdowns and a lot of safety plays.
Especially Taylor.
Exactly. So Eckler is going to be the perfect, option for them in those checkdown situations. He's just going to get those receptions at all times. I don't know about his rushing, attempts and stuff like that in terms of that because he was mainly a scat back receiver last year for the Chargers. So, I understand why he's being taken here. I'd be okay taking him here, but I like to tell people realize what kind of production you're going to get. You're going to get one position production, basically. There is some rushing value there, but it's not going to be like, Alvin Kamara kind of level. So that's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, I think this is too high for me. I would feel comfortable taking him maybe at the end of the second round.
Don't think he's going to be there for you at the end of the second.
Then that's okay with me because my thing with him is he had a really good year last year with 92 catches. I don't think he's going to have that again. I think he might be closer to 70, 80. And then versus 2019 versus 2018, he had 26 more carries, but only 3 more yards. So his rushing ability, I would like to see him do more. Some of that might have been because of Gordon. I think he's going to be a valuable player, and he's going to be a productive player. But I think for me, the first round is a little bit too rich.
I'm definitely taking Eckler in the first round this year. As far as running backs go, if you're getting into the PPR, if you're say you pull Henry out, right? You're taking Henry out of the first round. Eckler and Clyde Edwards-Helaire have to be there. They just have to be taken in that space. I mean, Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake.
I'd take Sanders over Eckler in the first round, and I'd probably take Jacobs over as well because I think they're going to get more work. Because I have to see more from Eckler in the running game.
Yeah,
I can't rely on 92 catches again.
I get it, but I think that you can. I think that you can because the first several games, Tyrod's going to be the guy. Tyrod's going to be the guy. And then if he's not the guy, if he is taken out, then you're looking at Justin Herbert, who's just coming in.
I also don't believe in Herbert at all, so that might be my bias as well.
Well, then you can't just be buying into any quarterback there.
No, I like Tyrod Taylor. I think he's.
What is it like about Tyrod Taylor?
He's a what's it called, professional quarterback. He's going to take care of the ball. He's going to check down the ball. But he's not. I don't see Eckler getting 92 catches.
I don't see.
You can't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field.
That's what I'm saying. If Taylor's in there for 14 games, 13 games, then Eckler's he's getting more than 92 catches.
Yeah.
So you guys don't think Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry are going to get anything?
Not from Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor's arm can't reach them.
Well, ask Jarvis Landry or OBJ what they think about
I disagree. Well, Tyrod Taylor and play with OBJ.
Oh, okay. So we'll ask Jarvis Landry what he thought about it.
So my thing is, Hunter Henry's middle of the field. He's not a deep threat. Neither is Keenan Allen. They're inside the numbers. Williams is more of a deep threat. But yeah, Eckler, like I said, I think he's a good player. I think first round is that's where your cornerstone players are. That's the players that are going to lead you for the season. I don't think he is that. I think he's a contributor. I think he's it's rich for me.
I get it. I could see these rich. I could see a Clyde Edwards-Helaire over him. But what we saw from him last year, he had 132 rush attempts, 557 rushing yards, 3 more yards in the year previous, and he had 106 rush attempts that year. I see where you're coming from there. I just think that this year, with Gordon gone, Gordon was there the year before that too, what's holding him back? I love Justin Jackson as a handcuff, But Justin Jackson is not going to be your in-between the tackles downhill runner. I mean, he can catch the ball. Honestly, he can do both the same things that Eckler does. And Eckler 2 years ago averaged 5.2 yards a rush, 5.5 years, 5.5 to 2 years, 2 years ago, sorry, and 4.2 last year. And I see that just from Gordon, being there, hampering his value even more so. But he totaled over 1,500 yards last year. I don't know how we're not going to get to that same number, how we're not going to get to 1,300. Because if he did catch 92 balls last year, 993 balls, they're not going to not use him in that facet. That's where they have the value in him, and that's why they didn't pay Melvin Gordon, because they know what they have. So I'm all in on Eckler at the end of the first. Reaching above this is a definite no-no. I think that going ahead of 10 is a big no, but 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, he's mine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my thing, just on these last two spots, this is where I would sub in Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Miles
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
12, 13, 14. I'm all about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like Henry still ahead of him just because I think 320 touches versus what Helaire could get this year. Still a lot of mouths to feed. I still see Andy Reid using his other running backs. I see him still using Thompson. I still see him using Williams.
He didn't do that when he had Kareem Hunt.
Well, he didn't do that when he had Kareem. He didn't do that when he had Kareem Hunt. But I still see him doing that. This year. Those guys have still kind of earned those spots. All right, so closing it out, we got our last two here. Let's see. I have don't have it pulled up yet.
Julio Jones is at 11.
Yep.
So we got Julio Jones at 11. Still in love with Julio Jones. Still in love with DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, these other high-end receivers. I think Julio Jones is in line for a really good year this year. In that system with Dirk Cutter, pass-heavy offense, I'm all about it. I think we're all not very high on Todd Gurley this year.
No.
The offense still has to go to tried and true. Julio Jones going to catch a lot of balls this year. I think he can get over 100 catches. I just don't necessarily know what the yardage is going to be like. I think that...
Well, I can tell you that.
What do you got?
Every last 6 years, it's always at least 1,300.
Okay.
So I imagine he's just going to continue. The only one of two receivers in NFL history to get at least 1,300 yards in 6 straight seasons.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Ridley progression. I'm obviously still want to know what they're going to use Gurley for. They paid him a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. You got to use him somehow, right? And then Hayden Hurst coming in, a little bit more of a pass-friendly receiver rather than like Austin Hooper or these previous guys. Austin Hooper just seemed to always just get fed the ball in the red zone. It was
just randomly.
Yeah, just really, really ridiculous usage of him in the red zone. Julio Jones is getting used the rest of the field, and then Hooper would just come in and steal those red zone touchdowns.
That would be my only thing. I'm totally fine with getting Julio at 11 at the end of the round. That's fantastic value. Mm-hmm. He's going to give you great production. I feel really good about it. My only thing with Julio is he's only had one season in his career, which is almost a decade, of 10 touchdowns or more. And so that's the only, I guess you would say, knock on him. Mm-hmm. We wish we would get in the end zone more, but maybe this is the year. But I think you're definitely going to always get 90 to 100 catches from him, 1,300 yards if he's healthy. Solid week in and week out contributor.
Consistent. I think the previous offenses of the Atlanta Falcons basically used like a 2 running back system. So they were constantly using the rushing game to try and set up the passing. So that's why Julio Jones' touchdown numbers probably were a lot lower than what they should be. He can definitely get 10 touchdowns in a season. Oh, yeah. He just needs to be in the right offensive system. And Dirk Cutter worked with Jameis Winston, Jameis Winston did throw a lot of touchdowns, but did throw a lot of interceptions. Matt Ryan's a different quarterback, so I do think that Julio Jones' touchdown numbers are going to go up. He's to me, one of probably the top receiver in the NFL besides Michael Thomas. It just sucks on how he just doesn't get those touchdowns. I mean, if I was a coach and he ran 80 yards and he needed 1 more yard to get that touchdown, just throw the ball up. He'll go get it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as talent goes, Julio Jones is I shouldn't say bar none, but he's for sure one of the most athletic, most versatile receivers in the league. Mike Thomas, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, they do things differently than Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams still. Their abilities are beyond this world, to be honest with you. But again, the system is just not always as friendly, right? I like Calvin Ridley more than I like an Emmanuel Sanders, right? I like a Ridley over a Christian Kirk. Sorry, name was escaping me there. So Julio does have some other weapons around him that can bring his value down, and they just don't give him that same type of usage in the red zone like they have in years past. So that just keeps him at the back end of the first round for me. Someone that can easily grab you 7 to 8 catches every week, just may not finish off with that cherry on top touchdown. Finalizing the first round, we got DeAndre Hopkins. I know that you're big on him this year. I'm all about him as well. Some of the things that worry me, that keep him closer to the second round and back end of the first, really is a Kyler Murray. You know, the whole hey, aim that direction and throw approach. It's a little risky in my opinion. Not being able to see over your offensive line again. It's cool that he can succeed with it, but at the same time, I like my quarterbacks being able to see their targets, moving targets at that. Love the upside that he's going to bring to this offense. I'm totally okay with taking him in the first round.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, I love him in Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. If he can do what he did for years in Houston with terrible quarterbacks, he's the same kind of receiver as Larry Fitzgerald, quarterback proof. As long as he gets the play calls, as long as he gets the balls going his way, he will still eat. That's why I love him. I just see him reproducing old Larry Fitzgerald numbers in Arizona, especially with possibly 600 pass attempts this year. That's a lot of balls to be thrown up in the air. And, you know, getting a sixth of it is 100 targets. So, you know, I just see DeAndre Hopkins really feasting in Arizona just because of the 4-wide system that's there with Kingsbury.
Yeah, I think like we talked about on last week's episode, we told you, especially I did, like on how high I am on Colin Murray. I think he's going to make a lot of improvements this year. And like Nick alluded to, in his career, DeAndre Hopkins put up stellar numbers, being the only target, only weapon in Houston, playing with Brandon Whedon, TJ Yates, Tom Savage, Phil Savage, Phil Jackson at quarterback. Last two obviously were a joke. But he's played with some really bad quarterbacks in Houston until he got, Deshaun Watson, and they took it to the next level and became even more of a bona fide receiver. So I think he's going to do great things in Arizona. I think getting him at 12 would be awesome. I think you're getting great value here.
Yeah,
and you're going to still have Larry Fitzgerald on the other side, and you're going to have Christian Kirk in the slot who had a really good rookie year. So this is going to be an offense. I think they're going to air it out, and I think everybody's going to eat here. I think this is going to be I can't believe I'm going to say it, a baby Kansas City Chiefs style offense.
Ooh.
A baby. I said baby. Like, I think they're going to throw it around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you're going to see at least 2 receivers with 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I think the potential is there, especially for like Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins. We'd love to see a little bit of a revival of Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I'm all about guys like Larry Fitz, Adrian Peterson getting runs for Super Bowls. So yeah, I hope Hopkins comes in, brings the offense a little bit more upside this year. Totally comfortable taking him in the first round behind some other high-end receivers and running backs. As far as guys that maybe didn't make it into the first round here, so just kind of recapping, 1 through 5, we go CMC, Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook. And then from there we go Michael Thomas, Joe Mixon, Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler. And we close out the first round with Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins. And I think, if I'm reading between the lines here correctly, guys, Tyreek Hill and Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler picks 7, 8, 9, or whatever, 8, 9, 10. You guys are out on.
I'm fine with Tyreek Hill at that spot. I think
but Nick's not, so we'll say it.
Yeah.
So players in round 2 that we've seen drafted, we're looking at Devontae Adams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Chris Godwin. I don't know. From what I know of you two, I was going to say, from what I know you two,
I like him, but a second round,
not first round,
value.
Third, right? So Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, are these must drafts in your first round?
For me, I would say if I'm drafting at 8, 9, 10 in that spot, and I don't want to take Tyreek Hill or a receiver, I want to get running back, I would go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know how everybody feels about rookies, but Chiefs proved it a few years ago. If the rookie has talent, he can play. That offense is designed for a dynamic running back.
Sure.
Miles Sanders, we talked about on a previous episode, where he had a really good rookie year, working in a committee. He's no longer in a committee. I think he's going to be a running back that's taking the next step. He is a dual threat. He had 50 catches last year, averaged 10 yards a catch. He's a downfield threat, so I like him in that spot. And he had 800 yards rushing. Another player that I think might have a better year this year because he'll play full 16 games. Josh Jacobs in 13 games had 1,100 yards. So those are the players I would look at. Devontae Adams, He's got the talent. He's
though.
got the talent. It's just that offense and the way they do this offseason really confused me. Like, talent-wise, absolutely, he's a first-rounder. Production-wise, I think you're going to be frustrated a lot of weeks with him.
The only person I'm going to switch Tyreek Hill out with is Miles Sanders. A lot of people, they kind of like to wait a year. With Miles Sanders, don't wait this year. He's going to be. I feel like he's going to be his feature back. Justin thinks that they're going to bring someone else in. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that they're going to let Miles Sanders work. He did replace Saquon Barkley at Penn State, and he had very big shoes to fill. But honestly, if he wasn't replacing Saquon Barkley, he'd be considered one of the better running backs in Penn State history. So I think he can do all the same things. They just got to give him the opportunity. So that's the one person I would switch with Tyreek Hill in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can see Tyreek Hill going in the second round. Obviously, that's better value there. But if you're looking to pop off, because again, like not everyone's going to take Hill as their second receiver. I could easily see Thomas, Hopkins, and Julio all go in the first round, and you still have a pick left in the first. I can see all that happening because honestly, not a lot of people are that high on running backs after those top five. At least as far as taking the first round, they think, oh well, if I'm not getting one of these guys, I have to go to the best available receiver because there's so many of them. Just not the case this year. Yeah. I think you have a lot of options in your first two rounds, in round 1 and 2, and I think it's going to be really volatile across all draft boards. I could see someone easily taking Mike Thomas at 6. I could see someone taking Julio ahead of him. I mean, the argument's there.
Yeah.
He's a better wide receiver, and this offseason, Mike Thomas didn't do himself any favors gaining popularity points with the public.
Yep.
So. I could see a lot of weird things happening this draft season, especially with no preseason games. I mean, it's going to be interesting. So I like my first round like that. I could definitely see it going in many different directions. So look out for some of the players that we named in your first round, end of the first, beginning of the second. This was TITTH number 34. Second episode, I'm on the wisdom teeth. I know my voice sounds a little weird. It feels a little weird, that's for sure. So looking to get a little bit more fresh this coming week on TITTH number 35. Look out for that this coming Thursday or Friday. Getting back into the groove of things. So thanks for stopping by, giving us a listen. Smash the like button, share the video. Hope you're enjoying listening to maybe the pod on your car ride. We're now available on Spotify and soon to be other audio programs. This is TITTH number 34. You guys got anything to close it down with?
Yeah, I just want to say hi to my Uncle Renee. He just liked the page. He gave me all my sports jerseys when I first started out, so thanks for that. And now I'm talking about sports, and hopefully the Caps bring it back in the series because I'm tired of that. So, go Caps, and see you guys.
Yep, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for all the support. And 4 Sundays away from our first NFL Sunday. Let's go for it.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Take care.
See you guys.
Bye.